I love Top Gun to an extent where I decided that I was going to post nothing but Top Gun stuff on Facebook for 2 months.
Folks, he did this for like several months.
And any time someone asked me about it, like in person, they would just be, I'm like, what do you do? They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just love that movie. This is what serial killers do. I as I hear this out loud, I'm like, never posted the same thing twice.
This is true. He posted
special features from the DVD, interviews. I can't shake this Top Gun. People still think it's like, that's your favorite movie. And I'm like, first of all, my favorite movie is Ghostbusters. Are you troubled by strange thoughts in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread throughout your daily life? Have you or any member of your family seen things that you couldn't explain? If their answer is yes, then don't waste another minute. Go to onlinetherapy.com and speak to the professionals. Onlinetherapy.com. Their courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve your mental health issues. We're ready to believe you. OnlineTherapy.com is tailor-made to you. You take a brief questionnaire and it asks you questions like, what are you suffering from? And then gives you an entire list of options. They even do couples therapy, and you also choose how you do therapy. Whether on the phone, video calls, texting, you make it convenient for you. Much like your favorite blanket, it's comforting to know that OnlineTherapy.com is always there for you with on-demand 24-hour unlimited texting. So, you get matched with a therapist that specializes in how to help your specific issues. An online journal to write down all of your thoughts and progress, and now they also just released a yoga benefit as part of their therapy. Click the link below and get 20% off your first month on therapy, okay? That's the link below, onlinetherapy.com. Check it out. Make yourself a little bit better in the brain. Hey everybody, it's Millennial Stoner. I'm Joe, the Millennial Stoner, and today is this is one of my just very best friends. He's been an actor. He's been you did acted for a long time, but lately you've done podcast stuff, and I'm happy to have you on the show. It's Justin Trice, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, there's no applaud. I always feel like there should be an applaud when I'm here. But thanks for coming down, man. I just wanted to do kind of just an easy bullshit podcast.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It's been a long time coming.
I'm happy to have you on because usually one of the things I like talking about the most on here is movies. And I don't know, I know I'm a fucking cinephile. I know it's such a nerd. Like a little
I feel
bit.
like you don't
Am
watch
I not
any
enough to be a
movies.
cinephile?
No, you're not stuck up enough. You're not like, well, this film of the 19th century. That's true.
Those guys suck.
Those guys do suck. We are, in fact, cinephiles. In a way, we are.
You know what it is? Because there's a cutoff for us, though. Because you and I will talk about a lot of films from the 70s and shit.
Yeah.
But it's not, we're like cinephiles and shit. But it's there's a cutoff because you and I watch a lot of movies from there's a cutoff. We don't know you and I have seen Citizen Kane. Right. But we don't talk it's not like we know every movie from 1930 to.
Yeah.
For me, it's really the older, the 70s is what I know the most.
Yeah,
about.
we're 60s and up. And I mean, I think for Joe and I, and if I'm wrong, you could correct me. I think for us, the way we label ourselves as cinephiles, we just like watching anything and everything.
Yeah.
I
like that gland to secrete that magic juice into my brain.
Yeah. We just like to see different styles. We like to see how it's all done. I'm sure you.
It's because I think also because when we went to theater school, and I think everybody wants to direct something, blah blah blah. So when because of that, because we were exposed to so much variety and that shit. I know specifically you and I we like watching different shit too. I think that's because we went to theater school.
Yeah, because we went to theater school, and just the way Hollywood is now, everything's a young adult novel, comic book film.
Everything is a young adult novel, man.
Once upon a time, Joe and I, we were a part of another podcast. We used to talk a lot about movies and shit, and we pretty much mapped out this downfall of the box office star and how this was going to become the trend.
Yeah, there's no movie stars anymore.
Yeah, there's no movie stars now. It's just people that in marketable films that are young adult novels are trending.
That is 100% true, actually, because so we're old enough to remember when Twilight started. That was the beginning of it. And so was Harry Potter for that matter. Because it was you're placating to all these tween fucking idiots, and at the time, listen, and I'm not going to shit on Vampire Diaries. I'm not talking about that.
Hey.
I know how much you like that show.
I do like that show. It's okay. But
it started with that. And it's just we can just take these because it was all the storytelling started
like that bullshit universe building, because people remember wasn't there 2 Twilight movies that came out?
It was Breaking Dawn and Breaking Dawn 2 or something.
Part 1 and Part 2.
I've never actually seen any of the Twilight films. I've only seen commercials, but I remember the names because they're etched into my soul from everyone's marketing. Yeah,
no, they're not good. They just build to a conclusion that people are like, well, I watched all the story, and I'm like, yeah, but a movie you shouldn't have to wait 10 years to see a whole film.
But on the flip side of that, because that was new, that was like a new trend back then. Good portion of those actors got to escape and become bigger and better.
Not all of them. One of them's Batman now.
Yeah. One of them's Batman now. And I mean, Kristen Stewart, I know people still can't stand her, but she is an amazing actress.
Yeah, she's made me laugh a lot and shit. I like her in comedy.
She's great. Taylor Lautner is just married to another Taylor Lautner.
Remember when they tried to make him an action star? Remember they were like, because it was like Twilight was over and they're like, all right, we're going to try the gambit and see who sinks or swims.
Yeah. Well, did he have that movie where he was like a bike courier? And I just remember Michael Shannon like walking across the street trying to get a package from
they gave him I think Michael Shannon was in that. There was somebody else that was like, there's a good actor in this too.
Yeah. Taylor Lautner, they tried.
Dude, he put, what was it called?
Oh wow!
Tracers.
Chris is pulling it up now.
This is why we got Chris.
Tracers. Oh, extract. Was that extraction or
abduction? Was the one where he had
his family wasn't his family.
Yeah,
they were spies.
He was actually like a spy child. Essentially, he was like a spy child.
Yeah,
such a stupid. Oh
Taylor
my god!
Lautner,
I remember that came out around the same time as that bullshit ass. Justin Timberlake in time movie.
Listen,
yo, you can't make Justin Timberlake an action star. He sucks.
Yeah, we went through that weird phase where we were really trying to make Justin Timberlake an acting star. No. And I prefer his serious acting, like Alpha Dog, shit like that.
Because I can't take him seriously when he's like giving one-liners and like shooting a fucking M60.
In time, it just cracks me up because whenever I hear that movie, I always think of, not only was it like a dumpster fire, but I always see that cringy scene, that one line where Cillian Murphy's like, his crime wasn't stealing time. Yeah. His crime was giving it away.
For those of you who don't know, In Time is a movie with Justin Timberlake where people basically they buy time to stay alive.
They buy time to stay alive.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
The richest people basically can live forever.
It's
Justin Timberlake's working class, and
he's working.
Olivia Wilde is his mother, and
they dress him up like fucking Jason Statham in The Transporter, and it's just Amanda Seyfried, who I've always said is just missing being a huge star.
She's always been on the cusp, but a lot of her projects
In Time sucks. Don't go.
Yeah, In Time. Yeah. We're not promoting this movie.
Don't look it up.
Don't watch it. We don't want
Olivia
this trending.
Wilde was in.
I told you she was the mom. She looks younger than him, and remember he was working hard to buy extra time to give to her, and he missed the bus.
Do you think Cillian Murphy gets cast in all these sci-fi films because he himself looks like a frog humanoid?
I mean,
he looks a little like he's hiding in someone else's skin. I just realized
it's a possibility. He's a shapeshifter.
It just looks. It just. He looks like it's not on right. His face is not on right. Yeah, look at all these fucking people in this.
Yeah, there was a lot.
This was also like the peak of young, sexy casts at the time, I believe, because the whole point is that they were young in it.
Yeah.
All right, take this away. The point is, don't watch In Time. But yeah, Taylor Lautner. They tried to make all these kids stars. And Robert Pattinson was the only one that could sink or swim because Robert Pattinson decided to actually learn how to act. It's like Kristen Stewart, for the record.
I feel like he always could act. It's just because of his young look and how he looked, they wanted to put him in these things. Harry Potter, for instance. Like, I didn't watch Harry Potter when it came out.
Potter?
That's what I was getting at.
Dude, I have such a weird I've never seen all these movies in a row.
So fun fact, I had never watched Harry Potter like in real time. My friends back in college, it was like near Halloween, they wanted to see Goblet of Fire, which I was told was the 4th Harry Potter. Okay. And I just went with them on a whim to see it, even though I didn't see the others. Surprisingly, it caught me up to speed, but there was this one actor there. I'm like, this guy's gonna go somewhere. He's got a lot of talent. And then they fucking killed him. It was Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. He was
Cedric Diggory.
That's right. I was going to say he was something didgeridoo, right? This is my fucking problem with Harry Potter movies. This is why they're fucking stupid to me. It's because I get enthralled in the story. I really do.
Yeah.
I get genuinely enthralled in the story, and they're like, Harry, you have to save the entire kingdom. You have to take the sword and you must kill the evil wizard. But first, you have to find the fuzzle bums to help. And I'm just like, it takes me out of it right away. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your fuzzle bums and your bullshit ass Dr. Seuss writing.
That 4th film had me, and even I was getting a little teary-eyed when his father was like, he was my boy, even though I didn't see the other movies. And then after that, I didn't see another Harry Potter again until Half-Blood Prince. And then it wasn't until the pandemic when my girlfriend was like, yo, you're making me watch all these movies like Bond and stuff. You need to catch up on life. life is Harry. You need to catch up on Harry Potter. I know that was my response. I'm like, life is Harry Potter because you keep indicating these 8 movies here. What is that? And so
that is definitely like, and I love your girlfriend very much, but that is definitely like a white woman. Like, you haven't seen Harry Potter. Like it's like no man has ever come up to me and been like, you haven't seen Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, it's always
for the record, she's not obsessed, but she gives me shit. She's like, for someone that's so into movies and you watch all movies and TV, how come you have not seen all of Harry Potter?
Hold your tongue, serpent woman.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I watched all of them. And
what else was there to do?
What else was there to do?
Was that collectively like 2 weeks worth of watching a movie right there? Essentially,
hell, that's like a week. The way we were living.
Those movies are like 4 hours. One of them's 4 hours long.
Is it?
I don't know. I remember falling asleep during one of them.
They split their last film in half too, so I don't even.
Maybe 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2. Actually, I had never seen the last. I've seen all of them like as they came out though, and I never saw the last 2.
Yeah,
and I finally watched the last 2, and I'm very underwhelmed by the end of that movie.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, last 2 were, especially the last one.
You tell
like,
they were like, we have to wrap this
They just
up.
rushed it. We're like, we have to wrap this shit.
Harry doesn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah,
you know, like,
we're gonna give you a 20-minute death scene with Alan Rickman's Snape, who was like one of the best parts of the movie. But other than that,
he died. It was like a half an hour in that movie. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't even give a shit. Like in Die Hard, one of the greatest. They just fucking dropped his ass off the side of the building. One of the greatest deaths ever.
We saw like fake slow mo for 10 seconds, and then he just hit the ground.
They shot lightning through his heart, and somehow he was still fucking alive. And he was like, Harry. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, Snape. Everybody gets it. You're not a bad guy.
Yeah, we get it.
Spoilers. Dumbledore dies. Fuck you. Give a shit. You know what it is though? Like I played the video game a little bit.
It's an addictive game.
Yeah, but it's the same thing where it's just like I got into it and then all of a sudden they're like, you have to use the flu flames. And I'm like, I'm fucking turning this off.
No, I'm
gonna go play fucking Max Payne.
I was very addicted to that game when it first came out. I'm sitting here going like,
my buddy, you know, James, my buddy James has been playing it. And he was like, he's such a fucking child with it. I love it.
But the game in some ways too, its ending's kind of underwhelming. I won't spoil the ending, but
I give a shit.
One of the side quests is with the character Sebastian. I was so hooked on his motherfucking storyline, and when it ended in such a dark manner, I was like, "Damn, I can't wait to see what else happens."
I can tell you that. I played a little bit of that game, and he was just like, "My sister's sick." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" Like, so I bet that's gonna come back in a weird way.
I'm like, "How far will you go, Sebastian?"
That's
I don't know.
The problem with so much movie. I've watched so much shit. That's what I do with stuff nowadays. I see something, and like, it's weird what people don't see now, but when like I can tell when a character is gonna die like immediately, especially in an action movie. If you're in a military group and you're the new rookie and you're in a sequel,
that's today's red shirt. You fucking die right off the bat.
You're dead in the first hour of the movie because they need a reason to go kill the bad guy.
Exactly.
Expendables 2 does that very well.
Oh my gosh.
Liam Hemsworth.
I was just gonna say, was that when Jean-Claude Van Damme did a roundhouse with the knife to his chest? Oh my god.
Fuck yeah. That movie rules.
That was hysterical. I'm like, oh, Liam Hemsworth is in this. Maybe this will be his breakout role. Nope, just kidding.
No, they killed him in the first half hour of the movie.
That was great. That was great.
Jean-Claude Van Damme comes out and slaps his neck with a knife and then stabs him in the chest and then kicks it further into his chest.
Yeah, that was
just in case.
Overkill.
But that whole purpose of those movies are to be overkill. Like it's just it's like that's action done on the most grotesque, beautiful level to me.
Yeah,
I'm like that's like 80s action still. They still kind of abide by the rules of 1985 with that shit.
There's nothing wrong with that though.
No,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Like I said, we watch a lot of shit.
We watch a lot of shit.
And speaking of which, because you just watched like Mission Impossible, right?
I did. I saw it yesterday.
What did you think?
IMAX.
I haven't seen it yet, but what did you think?
Okay, so for me personally, out of all the Mission Impossibles, you know, this is like the 7th one now, and they split it in half. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna rank it number 3 out of like all of them. I would rank it number 3. Rogue Nation's number 2. Fallout's number 1. It's funny because they're like Dead Reckoning Part 1, and I'm like,
everybody's doing 2 parts now.
But not for nothing, Tom Cruise was already kind of doing that because Rogue Nation was what it was, and then Fallout was the direct sequel to that.
That's the one with Henry Cavill.
No, that's Fallout.
That's Fallout.
Rogue Nation, though, was when that villain was first introduced. And they got the list of all of the MI6 agents who was killing them.
Which is technically the knock list, right?
Yeah, it was the knock list. So that was Rogue Nation, and they beat the bad guy. And then Fallout was the Henry Cavill one, where now he's got disciples, and they freed him.
That's right. They technically did this already because that villain shows up in 2 movies.
Yeah, it's essentially, they just didn't call it Part 1, Part 2. So where I'm at right now as I'm viewing this as a standalone film at the moment. It's number 3 on the list. When part 2 comes out, it will be higher, but I really enjoyed it.
I had heard that they built that entire movie. Tom Cruise pitched that whole movie around that stunt.
Oh, around the motorcycle?
The motorcycle stuff. I mean, you and I talk about this all the time with him, but is there any, you read like a lot of shit I don't. So is there any truth to that?
Oh, that he built the whole thing around that?
Yeah, sort of the whole movie was built around that stunt.
I did see something similar, that he wanted that stunt to be within that movie.
Yeah.
But they cater, it's not that the whole movie's built around it, but the third act is built around that.
He's a crazy motherfucker.
He's a crazy dude. And yes.
But he also like, he goes, the stunt, I know this. He's like, the stunt's going to be in this movie. And he was like, I need to go train for a year.
He trained for all of it. Just like Fallout that you saw. The Halo jump, he trained.
But he also did, what else did he do? It was the
holding on to the plane with his fingertips.
He taught everybody how to fly a jet for a year before they did Top Gun.
Yeah, he paid for them to learn how to fly
them jets. That's just like a crazy thing. I mean, people wonder. I mean, like, are you going to make your
authenticity? You know,
it's all. Are you going to make your money back? Mission Impossible usually makes their money back, right?
Yeah.
Those are huge releases.
They always make their money back. Well, ever since 4, they've been making their money back. But I will tell you this:
I liked 3. I didn't like 2.
3 is the worst for me. Well, no. 3 is the second worst for me. 2 is the worst, and I love John Woo, but 2 is a dumpster fire.
2's. The last 20 minutes is cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's really not much going on in that movie.
But 3,
I wish it worked out better for John Woo, so he could be making more movies in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, Face Off. He did
but that was after, wasn't it?
Was it? I thought MI was.
Chris.
MI 2 was what? 2000.
Please
Face Off was 98. I think.
What's up?
I think Face Off was 98, and Mission Impossible 2 was 2000. Right?
Maybe.
Face Off. Face Off was 97.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And
because Face Off was wildly successful.
Yeah, and Mission Impossible 2 was 2000. It looks like I can see it on the thing. Yeah. So
did he direct this? Was this his next big thing?
John Woo?
Yeah. What, like he did Face Off and then this? Was it?
Well, he did Broken Arrow first.
It was Broken
then
Arrow.
Face Off, then Mission Impossible.
What about the replacements?
For American films. Actually, wait, Hard Target. But that was all before. Hard Target was before. Hard Target, then Broken Arrow,
Hard Target's the Van
Off.
Damme one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the best Van Damme ones. Yeah.
Didn't he? I think there's a story he originally wrote that boat chase to be in Hard Target, but Van Damme wanted to end it up with a horse race.
Yeah.
Which makes more sense that Van Damme would say that, I guess.
Yeah. But going back to Dead Reckoning.
Dude, I might have to watch Hard Target tonight. I haven't seen that in a minute.
I watched it like last month.
I haven't seen that shit in a minute.
Going back to Dead Reckoning, though, I was going to say I got to give Tom Cruise props because some of you know, most of you don't know, he started filming this right before the pandemic hit. And then he was filming it in Italy, and then they went into lockdown. Right. Him, the crew, the cast, they were all stuck.
5 years.
They were all stuck in Italy for like 8 months because this was at the heart of COVID, and the COVID ran really rampant in Italy. It was like very severe, so they had to stop filming on this. And keep in mind, Top Gun Maverick had already been completed like 2 years prior, but now they can't release it because of COVID. So that was a whole thing too. So he had to go through hell and high water to make this film.
I know Top Gun was wildly successful.
Yeah, Maverick was
it was, and it was like you and I were talking. It's weird because like there's no movie stars anymore.
Yeah.
And it just felt it feels like the last run of the. It's like the last American outlaw in a lot of ways. And I'm not like, I know Tom Cruise is a wacko. Okay.
Yeah, we know he's a wacko. There's a little bit of Scientology messaging in these movies. Just gonna throw that out there.
He didn't know about internet porn, which makes sense.
I saw that this morning actually, and I was like, this is hysterical.
Which I believe, right?
I believed it once I saw the interview and like how he reacted, because he was like, Tom Cruise was like, whoa.
Do you think he just has a house full of magazines? Though he's just like, wait, I can just get this on my phone?
I can just get this on my phone?
Get out of here, man.
Wait. Seth, what do you mean?
Wait, Seth.
Like, Seth, hold on. You said internet porn? As in pornography?
Yeah. But he's like, he reacts like a 12-year-old boy when he said, "Oh, why should we see this?"
He's just like, that's wild. And he probably jumped off a bridge with a parachute.
Yeah, you have to believe that's the kind of life that if you're going to Tom Cruise's house, he's like, "Hi, I'm Tom Cruise. I'm going to go now jump out of the top of my tower that I live in, and I'm going to base jump like Tommy the Green Ranger with a fucking surfboard under my feet."
For this film, the motorcycle thing that Joe mentioned too, he did actually film that first because again, he produces the film, so he's going to be making money off of it. But he flat out said, like, we're going to go with this scene first because if it works,
it was the first made film.
If I fail, obviously we're not going to film anymore because I'll be dead. So he just went with it.
I thought he was going to be like, obviously, if I die, you can recast, and you don't worry about changing much.
But the film, I will say, some people are complaining that they feel that there's not enough action, or they are slight spoiler. This isn't like a scene thing. They're slightly upset that Tom Cruise used a little bit of CGI. But again, when you see the film, keep in mind that he had no choice but to use CGI for a little bit of it due to the circumstances, of the pandemic. Like he had to resort to. You can literally tell,
like, the deadline you have to get the movie made. Like, even though it's Tom Cruise and it's billions of dollars, like movies can get and a lot of movies got canceled during that had huge budgets and everything.
And some people bring up how he flipped out on set because, like, remember, he flipped out because the camera people weren't wearing a mask. And I get it. Tom Cruise is an egomaniac. Maybe he was too harsh. But on the flip side of that, this man's investing his own money. This man is investing his own money into the film. He has the potential to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And on the flip side of that, in his rant, he was explaining how he's trying to keep everybody working and paid. And I respect that too. So
I can respect that. It's not better than the Christian Bale rant.
Yeah, nothing is better than that. And
that was my ringtone for a while.
Listen, man, Christian Bale's that dude. And I'm still mad about Terminator Salvation because I'm like, this man had this rant in the middle of a scene that we're never going to get to see. Because that
movie's cut to shit.
Yeah, it was cut to shit. But yeah, they cut out the original ending where he essentially dies and Sam Worthington takes his skin, puts on himself.
Was in the trailer, right?
Which was in the trailer.
Because I was like, that shot's not in the trailer. And you're like, yeah, you know why? Like, you were like, I remember you told me, because you got the scoop on that. You were stoked for that movie.
I want to see that movie.
So Mission Impossible, like, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, go see it.
I'm going to go see it. Like, I have no problems with... it's not that I don't have. I just know that Tom Cruise is going to die making one of these movies.
Oh yeah,
and
agreed.
We're going to watch it because it's going to be in his. It's in his will. You don't think that's in his will, where he was like, if I die, just make sure it's in the movie. If it's make sure it happens.
Make sure my corpse is in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because he went into space basically in Maverick.
Well, I mean, he's supposed to be going into space for like the next film, which I'm assuming is part 2. But
what do you do after that? Was he going to fly into the sun?
Who knows?
I don't know. Like, that's what I mean. Like, what do you like? My next Mission Impossible is called Mission Impossible Mars Rover.
I will say this though too. Though, for me personally, when it comes to movies that split into 2, I personally don't like to watch the first part until the second movie's about to come out. I'm still holding out on Dune. I'm holding out on Across the Spider-Verse. I'm holding out on those. But the reason I went to see Dead Reckoning is because everybody, and apparently Tom Cruise had a video about it too. He's like, I just want you all to know, like, we gave it our all. I fought with the studio about, I don't want this to end on a cliffhanger. I want this to end on like an actual note. And the film does not end on a cliffhanger. So I went to see it and I was pleasantly surprised.
I like how Tom Cruise is always like, he's just like the first person to be like, I'll be a leader. Like,
I'll be a leader.
I should be the leader. What? No, Tom. I don't think you should do that.
After Maverick's success, like,
that's what,
Paramount
that was him showing, because he hadn't had flops. But like, this was Tom Cruise numbers again. Like, Maverick did huge numbers.
And look at the stakes that were there.
It was good.
But the film was pushed back for like 3 years because it was always completed. But remember, it was supposed to come out like 2018, 2019. But then a Marvel film came out on the way. Yeah, because then a Marvel film came out. He didn't want to compete. And then he pushed it again and got pushed for something else. And then pandemic happened and it was shelved. So like, the fact that it still made over $1 billion fucking dollars.
$1 billion, man. And it was
this
good.
Is a sequel where Joe and I, like, we like Top Gun, the original, but that wasn't like a widely regarded film to where people were like, it needs a sequel. You know what I mean?
It got a big cult following going into like the 2000s because it got referenced a lot on shit. I mean, I love Top Gun to an extent where I decided to just, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on here, but I can remember just deciding that I was going to post nothing but Top Gun stuff on Facebook for 2 months.
Folks, he did this for like several months.
I did for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And any time someone asked me about it, like in person, they would just be, I'm like, what do you do? They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just love that movie. And that's all I would say.
They thought it was funny for like the first 2 days, but
I understand this is probably what a narcissist would do, but like, I was just like bored. This is what serial killers do. I as I hear this out loud, I'm like, I was just fucking with people, but it drove people insane.
It did. I enjoyed watching all the comments of people like, why are you still doing this?
And I never posted the same thing twice.
This is true. He he posted
special features from the DVD, interviews.
He's like posting behind the scene photos and shit.
I talked about which one of my favorite pilots it was. Who's your jester?
Who's your jester?
And Viper, and I fantasy cat. I never posed it, and for 2 months I did this to an extent where people thought I was genuinely disturbed, and to this day. It's like, you know how like Johnny Depp played like Captain Jack Sparrow?
Yeah.
And like after that, it's like it's just a little bit of, he's always going to be Captain Jack Sparrow. I can't shake this top. People still think it's like, that's your favorite movie. And I'm like, first of all, my favorite movie is Ghostbusters. Second of all, I became I just convinced people like, no, you were serious about that.
And you're like,
I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I love Top Gun. Top Gun's a tremendous film. It's got so many things to laugh at and love. It's also like stupid.
Top Gun is the essence of 80s. And
if you want to see what it was like in the 80s, you watch Top Gun.
It's the essence of 80s, and it's the true essence of Tony Scott. May he rest in peace.
If there's one thing that we get complimented about, it's how great the podcast looks. I don't do any of that. Chris does. He's the guy you usually hear laughing in the background of most of the episodes. I'm sure you're wondering, why don't you have a microphone for him? We don't have a microphone for him because we can't afford it. But the least we can do is get you links to the gear that we do use, and it'll help support the channel. We do get a little bump from that, I think. I don't know how any of this works. I really don't even know how to read like the lines. Like right now I'm doing a terrible job of it. Like I could say anything right now. Like I have 4 nipples and it's fine. We're going to keep it in. But anyway, click the link below and you get some of that cool gear that we use to make your podcast look just as good, maybe better than ours. All right?
Oh yeah, the unheralded Scott.
Yeah, seriously.
Tony Scott, for those of you who don't know, is actually Ridley Scott, who directed a bunch. I mean, pick Aliens. Like he's a go-to sci-fi guy.
Yeah, Tony Scott is Ridley Scott's brother, and
just a little context.
Tony Scott also. Some of you,
bring up Tony Scott's fucking resume.
I was gonna say some of you.
I love doing this shit.
Of you know,
this is my podcast. Talk about the fuck I want.
Some of you know who he is, like Top Gun, things like that. But a lot of you know him as a great collaborator with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, he was in a. I mean, people always overlook the fact that, especially, and when Denzel was sort of on the way up with this, especially post Oscar, he did a lot of movies with Tony Scott, and he had no right to act as hard as he did in some of them.
For real. Tony Scott legitimately helped push.
Yeah, he directed the Kenny Loggins Danger Zone music video.
No. Tony Scott literally helped elevate Denzel into universal appeal with Crimson Tide with Gene Hackman.
Oh, that's right.
And then didn't Tony Scott do the same thing with Will Smith in Enemy of the State, or am I making that up? Did he not do Enemy of the State?
Kind of. Wait, let's look up. Yeah, Enemy of the State.
Yeah. Tony Scott helped put.
Well, I mean, look at this run. First of all, look at this run
Denzel
right here.
and Will Smith. Yeah,
it's Days of Thunder
with Gene Hackman.
The Last Boy Scout, Crimson Tide. I mean, even the fans not bad. Into Enemy of the State, which was a wildly successful film. He even did Ladies and Gentlemen, the best of George Michael. Fucking I love Wham.
Tony Scott was really great with just action and sci-fi in general.
I was going to say it started with, I believe, Domino. Yeah, Domino, where he started doing weird. He started really getting a distinct style because he did Deja Vu. Did he not do Man on Fire?
I'm pretty sure he did Man on Fire.
Man
on
right
Fire,
there. Yeah, Man on Fire fucking rules.
Man, Casey. No, was it Creasy? Creasy, yes.
See, that's where that Denzel comes from. That Denzel that's just
that
like...
particular Denzel, the ultimate action star. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was just like...
The worn out, like fed up guy.
The worn out, fed up. Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. You ever seen this type of detonator? All right. Okay.
What's the thing?
All right.
What's that thing where he sticks in his ass? He's got this tag, and I love it. At the end, he goes, "I wish you had more time."
Yeah. I wish you had more time. I wish you had more time. So, tell me about the girl.
If you honestly, I would suggest people if you're tell me about the girl. You got 5 minutes. Because you know what it is? Because when Denzel does like serious, we talked about this before, where it's like, what verb does it, and what verb will he use in this film? And like, if like American Gangster, it was my man. No, my man was Training Day.
I mean, my man was in a lot of things. Denzel, it's gotten to the point
he's
where
always got that,
his own personality just bleeds into the scripts now. Like you see him in the interviews where he's like, you pray for the rain, you got to deal with the mud, all this stuff. And now he incorporates like his own philosophy into
really just Denzel Washington.
Yeah, seriously. Now he just incorporates these lines into all of his films.
If you make 4 more Equalizer movies, I'll go see them. It's his John Wick. But like, it's just, I'm always crazy. I'm like, this dude was in Glory. Look at him now taking 2 guns out of people's hands.
Yeah.
Old man action movies, I call them. You know? Book of Eli. Yeah, look at these. He's got, you got to hand it to Denzel, man.
Book of Eli. Tony Scott didn't direct that, though. That was the Hughes brothers. That was the Hughes brothers.
Yeah, I mean, this dude was in Philadelphia, The Bone Collector, which I fucking love that movie. And Magnificent Seven, but he was never above doing an action film and just doing the best job possibly could doing it. You know, like Equalizer 2, then he goes into his Fences. You know what I mean? You know, and he's like 2 Guns with Mark Wahlberg. Like, I mean, let's try an action comedy buddy cop movie.
Yeah, that people don't ever bring up that film.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah,
it's like a mid-tier film.
There's just like different.
It's just them yelling at each other.
There's just different generations of Denzel. It's the same effect with Al Pacino. Like, you know, some people again, younger Pacino achieved so many things, but this old man Al Pacino's also doing some really, really great work.
It took a minute.
Yeah,
he had to go through that weird era where it's like, why is he doing so many Adam Sandler movies? Like,
And
I understand your friends, but Jesus Christ, Al. Like, but now he's going back. I really it was like right before, like 2 years right before, like he started doing like The Irishman and kind of, but he started doing these kind of. Yet, like I always tell people to go find this movie called Danny Collins.
Yeah, that was it was an HBO movie at first. I did see that,
where it's basically about a songwriter that decides to take the easy way to make money.
Yep,
which was a real thing. If you came out of the 70s for a lot, all you needed was like one good record, and then
that was the beginning of his old man renaissance.
But he started really acting again.
Yeah,
and it wasn't just a Pacino performance. It was like when you watch him in Panic in Needle Park, and you're like, this is amazing. This is just an amazing performance. And he did another one where he plays a locksmith, and he did sort of his Birdman as well as another movie where he's sort of an aging actor, which is very much in his wheelhouse. And it's good, but with Denzel, what it was is, I mean, look at this dude. It was, I mean,
he has such an eclectic.
Dude, we used to talk about Fallen all the time.
Look, if you guys consider yourselves Denzel fans, there's 2 fucking films that I need you to watch. It's Fallen, which is probably arguably I will fight all day on this.
What's that?
It's his most underrated film, Fallen.
Like I'm looking at this, I'm looking at his resume right now, right? From Glory on, look at this shit.
I mean, he had some bangers.
But look at this. He got Glory, and then like, you know, what was the one where he was a detective? Fucking, was that Devil in the Blue Dress?
I mean, he played a detective a lot, though. He was like a
pulp detective.
Yeah. Devil in the Blue Dress was pulp.
I also think he played a trombone in that or some shit.
But
Virtuosity.
Oh, God.
But look at that. He's got Philadelphia, and he played Malcolm X in 92.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy that he played Malcolm X in 92. Was he nominated for that?
He was nominated.
Yeah, and then he's in Virtuosity with Russell Crowe, where he plays a virtual cop, essentially. Man, the 90s were weird.
Yeah, 90s was a crazy time.
Siege was great. He Got Game is the first movie I ever saw him in, though.
Now, he has so many good films, but Fallen,
I've seen The Preacher's Wife,
check that out. It's kind of like a sci-fi-ish type thing. He's a detective, and he's tracking what he thinks is a killer.
It's a true crime movie.
Yeah, it's a true crime.
It plays it so great.
Yeah.
James Gandolfini performance in
James
it, too.
Gandolfini's supporting role is pretty good.
Yeah, but it's also arguably, I remember at one point it was on the list of like scariest movies ever made.
Yeah.
And it does have some legit, it's the only real horror movie that he's done.
It's a slow burn for sure, but it picks up. And then also my
how many cops
favorite of like all Denzel films for me is Crimson Tide, because like I said, that performance, you got to understand in the year that came out, which was like 93, 94, essentially he's opposite Gene Hackman, who's still like a juggernaut back then. This is a very tense film set on a fucking submarine.
That was like
Denzel not only shows that he can hold his own, but he can take center.
They did something similar like that with Wesley. And when Wesley did, what was the fucking movie he did with did he do it with Sean Connery early on?
Yeah, Rising Sun.
That was his sort of Crimson Tide.
That was good.
Because he was the up and coming action star.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, but yeah, I look at all this movie and but like, this is my favorite turn because you get to, all right, this is it right. You get Training Day, and I remember because it was Training Day and then John Q. And John Q is the beginning of like, let's see what he does if we put like, you know, like we'll make him like a justifiable action, like a small action film.
Yeah.
Where he calls James Woods a cocksucker in it or something like that. Because he's a shitty doctor.
I don't know. Yo, once we hit
also a great Eddie Griffin performance in that.
I mean, it was yeah.
But then Antoine Fisher, and then he's like, I'm gonna go crazy on these because he does the weird. It's Out of Time, which is great. Man on Fire, which is one of the most violent movies I've ever seen. Manchurian Candidate, which is one of the strangest remakes. But it's still a good movie.
It was unnecessary, but it was good.
It was still good. And then Inside Man, which to this day people say for a while was a lot of the greatest endings people have ever seen. And then Deja Vu, which is a movie that a lot of people don't I love that movie.
I didn't mind Deja Vu. Inside Man, at first I was not really a fan of it. After a few rewatches later in life, I was like, okay, I get it now.
It takes a couple minutes, yeah. It was Clive Owen's very, but it's more of the man. It was like remember The Negotiator?
Yeah,
it was like his Negotiator. Oh man,
Negotiator with Kevin Spacey and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
is that the one? Yeah, just making sure.
The whole thing with Shane at the end, he rides off. No, he's dead. And that whole I fucking love movies. So all right, we don't have to gush over his death. Just go up a little bit, Chris. Let me just see this real quick. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty solid resume. Yeah, Flight. It's like every 5 years he goes, let me make an Oscar contender.
I know. Didn't we see Flight together? Did me and you see Flight together?
No, we saw it like 2 days apart. We talked about it for like 2 hours on the phone because I said John Goodman is back.
Robert Zemeckis and Denzel. I was like, this is going to be a hell of a combo.
Yeah, bro,
and it was.
Saw that coming?
And it was. Oh,
who
man.
the fuck saw Robert Zemeckis being like, I bet I can do something with this motherfucker, this Oscar-winning man.
What do you want me to say? I'm an alcoholic. I drink.
I'm drunk on the plane. I'm drunk now.
I'm drunk now.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, wait. Honorable mention, because you and I love this movie. Unstoppable.
With Chris Pine. Yeah.
Dude, it's such a great, because that's his old man. Like, I've been around the block a little bit, man. Like, he goes in there and Chris Pine's the young guy and that's his rising sun or his crimson tide. You know what I mean? Except now he is Gene Hackman.
Oh, man.
All right. We don't need to gush about Denzel Washington, but
we're done with old Denzel.
Well, it's funny because man,
tune in next week. We'll talk about his son. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, he's awesome too. He's what I'm like, if they recast fucking, what's his name? Jonathan Majors. They should just do
John David Washington. Yeah, I said the same thing. If they replace Jonathan Majors, I'm like, use John David Washington.
Why not John David? He was awesome and fucking. I saw. Yeah, there he is.
And again,
he's got the top face is like the top part of his face is like his mom's, and he's got his dad's jawline, which is terrifying.
This man's resume. First off,
Amsterdam.
I have a lot of respect. I know some people complain about John David Washington. They feel
nepotism.
That's the thing. It's not nepotism, but they feel he does have daddy issues because he's always talking about like, I had to earn my stuff. I didn't want to use my father's name. He turned down a lot of roles.
Daddy issues. I think that's when you have.
I don't think it's daddy issues either. I think I understand where he's coming from. Yeah. Your dad, he has eclipsed all of Hollywood, and you want to get out of that shadow. So you chose to make your own name. You chose not to take the roles that they wanted to put you in because they wanted to essentially cast him the same way they cast Denzel. And then he said, screw that. He started doing interesting things. Black Klansman, Amsterdam. Oh my God, Tenet, which
I didn't see Amsterdam. Oh, Tenet was good though. I like Tenet.
Tenet is probably Nolan. That and The Prestige might be his two finest films. I know people are going to say The Dark Knight, but those might be his finest films. And most people, they hate Tenet. They don't understand Tenet. Even Denzel saw the film, and in an interview, he was saying like, I support my son in all his endeavors, but I didn't understand the movie. I'm like, God damn, Denzel, you just like, that hurts the audience now by you saying that. Like now people won't see Tenet, but
a lot of people say that.
He's really, I mean, John David Washington, he's really good, man.
He did Beckett? Chris, click on that. The play?
Beckett? Oh, yeah, no, that was the Netflix remake. The live action.
See that.
It wasn't, it wasn't that good. It took a serious detour. It's not that good. Not that good.
We're not going to talk about it.
Not that good.
He's
great, but it's not that good.
Great. He's a fantastic actor.
But yeah, no, he's got a lot of hits, man. Monsters and Men.
That, though. I can respect the dude because your father's one of the most successful and recognizable actors in the world.
Right.
You know. I would argue that he's Tom Cruise status, but people know who the fuck Denzel Washington is. You know what I mean?
No,
you're right.
Yeah.
But isn't that what Denzel did early on? I don't want to be typecast.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. In the beginning,
typecasting him as his father is a way of typecasting.
In the beginning, Denzel was kind of typecast. After Glory, I mean, all he tended to play was soldiers or cops, and then eventually he broke out of that. He was a good cop, but you get tired of seeing that shit. I want to
see him play a bad cop. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you want to Training Day? Was he not a bad cop?
Oh man. That's like the 8th time I've referenced. Every time we're smoking weed outside of every time we're smoking weed outside the mic, and I'm like, someone walks up to me and I just hand it to them and they don't ask. I go, "Oh, I didn't know you like to get wet."
Oh,
and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "PCP,
Angel Dust."
And they just start Ethan Hawking in front of me. That's probably like Training Day was like. I watched that movie to this day, and I'm like, "Fuck!" Like, it's a little dated now. It's a little dated now, specifically with like certain things. But like, it's really you watch it for without Denzel, that movie ain't shit.
I mean, Ethan Hawke's performance is
Without the
great,
two of them,
understated,
rather.
yeah. But I mean, it's a good film. Denzel should not have won the Oscar for it, but that was the Oscars. That was the Academy's way of giving him what he was already owed.
You know the Academy,
yeah,
Justin.
we
it's
know how to get down. But yeah, he should not have won that year. Sean Penn for I Am Sam probably should have won, or someone else.
Someone referenced that in a joke. I Am Sam. Someone would said something like, I was watching, I think it was my friend Alex, where he's talking about, he's just trying to work a joke out. And he goes, I watched the movie I Am Sam. And then in I Am Sam, he has, in the beginning of the movie, he has a baby. And then he gets left in Times Square with the baby. And I'm like, and then he just kind of peters off from the joke. And I'm like, that's really sad.
Yeah. Mood killer.
I Am Sam. I remember watching that movie and being like, well, I'll never watch this again.
Yeah, no, that was
even though I'm like, I get it, it's a good performance, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a lot. I feel about the way with a lot of like Hollywood films where I'm like, why would I watch this again and feel terrible?
Well, it's a solid performance, but I also was going, so is that little girl possessed by like an adult actress, Dakota Fanning? That was like when she first started. I'm like,
that's
why
right.
is this
Dakota
girl
Fanning.
so cognizant? Like, how is she doing this performance? She only continued to go on and do crazier performances. And then Man on Fire. She took classes at Suffolk. If only I would have started like 20 years earlier.
Yeah, right? I'm like, what? Because like our friend Dave was just like, Dakota Fanning's in my class. And we're like, what? And I'm like, that's fucking Dakota Fanning.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's what I thought you were. Okay.
Our friend Dave took a class with it.
I forgot she did go to Suffolk for a hot second. That's crazy.
That was real. She did. Like it was like, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like this woman had the Creasy's bear. Like what the fuck? Like, but I also have some other stuff I wanted to get to. There's a game afoot on Long Island. It was a serial killer.
I was like, hold on a second. I was like,
Dr. Watson. I do believe.
I do believe.
But it's for those who don't know, there's this thing that happened. Well, not happened, but like they first discovered like 13 years ago. There's a Gilgo. It's called Gilgo Beach. It's called Gilgo Beach, and they found like 10 bodies there. And the reason why I bring this up is I'm a bit of a true crime nut, and I know that you are too, a little bit.
Yeah, for the most part. I used to be part of a true crime podcast actually for like a season called Crime and Arts. We focused on crimes in the entertainment industry.
I remember that.
So it was fun times. Gilgo Beach though. The reveal of that, like we caught the killer. So
I looked at that and I'm like, this dude looks like a fucking pizza shop owner. Like of course.
That caught me off guard. And also it's just, how the media gets sometimes with white murderers or white serial killers. Before I could see the article or picture, I would like hear on the podcast or radio, they're like, we caught the Gilgo Beach murderer. He's like 59 years old and he's hulking. And I'm picturing like this statuesque person. And then they're like, he's an architect and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's kind of like the Trinity killer from
he looks like a bag,
Dexter.
Yeah, he looks like a bag of loose ham.
Yeah, but then I looked at him. I'm like, what's hulking about this?
This is like when they talk about. It's like when they talk about Dahmer and they're like, Dahmer was a genius. I'm like, Dahmer was drunk all the time.
They're like this hulking 59-year-old. And then I finally saw an article. I'm like, so is this the guy's brother that you accidentally put in custody, or who is this? And they're like, no, this is the actual killer.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a serial killer is supposed to look like, right?
I mean, yeah, he clearly. Fully, like 100%. He looks like a serial killer.
Look at the glasses. It looks even more. Oh my god.
He looks. Yep. That's. And what's up with that door?
He looks like his face.
Chris, can you zoom in on that picture again?
An elevator? Is he in a bathroom?
That's what I was about to ask you. Is that an elevator door or is that like a murder room door? Look at the door behind
his clean room.
That's the clean. No, seriously. What? It's a hook on the door.
Oh, it's the back. It's like that's like a McDonald's bathroom. Oh my god, he took a selfie in the McDonald's bathroom.
Right. Interesting.
This guy sucks.
But yeah, once they revealed the killer, and of course,
they only linked him to like 4 out of.
Well, that's the wild part. They linked him to 3, and they said he was about to. They found information that he might end up with a 4th victim. Right? They were saying it's a woman that he used to work with, and she felt uncomfortable with him to begin with. She left the architecture Facebook group they were a part on, and whatnot. And so cops have been following him for a long time. They said they could have arrested him about a year ago. They wanted to gather more evidence.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that's what with all people have to understand. It's like not like all is like people act like it's not like suddenly they were like, that's the missing piece of
Oh
evidence.
yeah, no. They clearly had
They had to
information for a
follow
long
John
time.
Wayne Gacy around for like 10 months.
And the only reason they decided to get him now, they were very clear about that. They said we had some information now where we thought he might try to flee the country, and we wanted to catch him before he left.
You don't think he was like, he's one of those dudes that was like, I got away with it. Like,
Actually, I do think he was one of those dudes that got away with it.
like that was his mentality.
That I think that was his mentality. The potential fourth person that could have been murdered but wasn't, like I said, was a former coworker, and he had apparently said to her a year ago, like, "Oh, are you familiar with the Gilgo Beach murders?" And she took that as, "Well, he lives on Long Island." I figured, because he's a local. Yeah, he said that to her.
Oh my god, that's like when Dahmer. There's the other story about Dahmer when he's putting the body in the trunk. And he's just like, "What, he got in their body?" And he was just like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "What a funny guy."
But yeah, he brought that up to her, and she's like, "No, I didn't hear about it." And I guess he talked to her a little about it, and she took that as, "Oh, well, he's a local to here, so maybe locals, they're big on this because this is their thing."
Yeah.
But now that she found out that he murdered those people, she's like, "Oh, he basically was throwing it in my face." And
Yeah,
allegedly,
they get off on it.
yeah, it's crazy. And then allegedly, when he got arrested, apparently he complied right away. He's like, "All right, officers,"
But he pleaded not guilty to everything.
Well, he pleaded not guilty. Yeah, later on. But
Not that I believe that. I'm just saying.
when they first arrested him, though, he was compliant, but they said he only had one question. He was like, "Will this make the news?" That was the question. Will this make the news? So clearly he was about that. He was into that. He likes seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it that makes sense for these guys. I mean, that's usually what it's about in some way, shape, or form.
It's always about the clout or the power. I mean, even in some of these pictures now that Chris has put up for us, I've just seen a lot of this type.
Is there one picture he's just next to a Baldwin?
Wait, what is that?
It's just one picture where he's next to. I think that's a Baldwin in the top left.
Oh, the bottom left.
What's the
Yeah,
bottom
why is he
left
with
one?
why is he with a Baldwin?
Why is he with a Baldwin?
Is that a Baldwin or
Billy
is that
Baldwin
him?
reveals unlikely connection to Gilgo Beach.
Okay.
I don't. This isn't. I don't give a fuck.
No, that's
about
garbage.
that.
We don't care about
You
that.
look like him.
But yeah, he kind of just has that look, that vibe. Like, I'm an architect. I know how to do these things. I make a lot of money. I have the perfect life. All the more reason why I could get away with what I could get away with.
The only thing that bothers me, but the thing I'm kind of pointing out to people or trying to point out to people about this, I'm like, there's like 10 bodies there. They've linked him to 3. So it's not like, and I've said for years, and like, I don't know if you've ever watched any of those, like, you ever watched like the Texas Killing Field or like
I've
the
seen
Confession
that.
Killer stuff. Like, there are places in the world where they're just dumping grounds. And that sounds fucked up. It is fucked up. The world's a fucked up place. There are places in the world where it's dumping, and none of them are actually connected. I think there's at least 2 more murderers out there.
Well, yeah, if I had to guess,
Maybe that's me. I don't know. I'm not an armchair detective that I am. Like,
there's like 10 bodies there. He's linked to 3. I do feel personally they're probably going to link him to at least 2 more. And
will it be real though, or will it be just because they can?
I think it'll be real, but here's the catch. There's too many bodies at that beach. I do feel maybe there's at least one more killer, and I do feel the dumping of the bodies overlapped. I would not be surprised if once this guy's attorney tells...
Thank you for talking about this.
No problem. No problem.
I'm such a fucking murder nerd.
I'm into it. I wouldn't be surprised, real talk, if his attorney tells him flat out, like, listen, you're looking at maybe 2 consecutive life sentences, and he would be like, well, can I get that down to 1 if I told you I know who the other killer is or that I saw the other killer?
But that's what I mean. You can. Yeah. Here's the thing. You can fucking like grill these guys a lot of the time. Real, like, not that this guy isn't a piece of shit, but real disturbed individuals. Like, you remember the Golden State Killer when they caught that guy and he just shut up and he's like, he's just going to wait till he dies. That's a scary person. Like, that's like a real, like, not that this guy isn't a piece of shit, but like, that's like a dude this dude will talk and he will talk at great length because he likes the attention.
He likes the attention.
That dude was this dude's a little piece of shit incel.
Right. I mean, this guy's probably going to want the book deals. He's probably going to want the private interviews.
Yeah, he's probably going to go for all that because it's going to end up making him money in the long run, or like at least it'll get him notoriety.
And that's the catch. Correct me if I'm wrong. The people that they've confirmed he's killed, they were all prostitutes, right?
Okay. I don't know if you've noticed this about Long Island serial killers, but they love killing prostitutes. I almost said we. You don't know.
I was like, I ain't no we here. I'm not.
No, I mean we, Justin. We're all family here.
We're all a family.
Chris, turn the lights off. Kidding. Am I? No. No, like it's like Long Island serial. Because the last one was Joel Rifkin. The last one, I believe. Joel Rifkin was look up the last Long Island serial killer.
Oh my gosh!
But I believe they all kill
I'm surprised it's not
prostitutes.
trending right now. I'm surprised it's not trending. Like,
It is. I mean, I'm all about. It's all over my Twitter feed. But like, yeah, Joel Rifkin was the last. Yeah, he's gonna come up because they all kill fucking prostitutes. Yeah, Joel Rifkin. Look at that fucking. Look at that hot dog salesman right there.
That's
Joel
crazy.
David Rifkin is an American serial killer who was sentenced to 203 years. Why the 3? In prison for the murder of 9 women between 89 and 93, though it's believed he killed as many as 17 people. He's another dude that like talked a bunch and may have been lying about shit.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of people that do this kind of shit. Garbage human beings. And like, they love the attention. And that's the weirdest because we feed into it.
Right.
We do. I feed into it. I want to watch documentaries about all this shit. I realize that's kind of fucked up. Like, I understand why the victims of the Dahmer, of the Dahmer stuff, the families of the victims are upset. But I'm going to watch it. Like, I know. Does that make me a piece of shit? Probably. But like,
I mean, I personally haven't watched that one yet because there was that period in time where there was just too much Dahmer content. And I'm like, I've already seen enough.
you know, it was weird. Like, yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
the weird part about that was like I got like real into true crime. Like I don't mean to, I'm not like a hipster, but like I read a bunch of stuff about Dahmer before Dahmer became like a popular like pop culture, like a serial killer culture really started to come in.
Yeah, now that people like fetishizing him, it's really just
Dude, I've heard women be like, he's cute. And I'm like, he will actually, no, he won't eat you because you're a disgusting woman. Like that's he'll fucking kill your brother, fuck your dad. Like, you know, but like I always tell people, I'm like, Dahmer, I read a bunch of books on Dahmer beforehand, and then he just blew up, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Jeffrey Dahmer!" I'm like, "Yeah, drills holes in the head. I've heard all this shit before. Let's talk about Gacy. Like, I want to talk about John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
That's why I was walking around. Actually, the one I know the most about is Charles Manson. That to me is one of the most fascinating individuals to ever walk the planet Earth. He's another dude like Dahmer that everybody's like, he was a genius. I'm like, was he? Was he a genius, or did he just like taking acid and fucking 5 women at once?
And again, certain people are born with an unprecedented amount of charisma.
That dude had charisma,
and he had that charisma. He chose to use it though for
I think he just
the wrong reasons.
Here's the thing: do you ever hear his music?
Helter Skelter?
No. Charles Manson's music.
Yeah.
You don't have to bring it up, Chris.
Don't actually play
it's not. It's actually not like it's like it's folk song. It's folky.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was produced by the guys who produced for the Beach Boys. Mm-hmm. Charles Manson, Satellite. Look at your game, girl.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God. Cease to exist.
Yeah.
So the Beach Boys flat out stole the melody for that. It's the same melody for I think it's a song on Pet Sounds, but I'm like, it's always weird that they did that. But yeah. So Charles Manson had music that's wildly mediocre, but his whole thing was that he just wanted to be a rock star. He found out that he wasn't that good at it, which was hard for him to take. And he was living in the desert with all these people, and like they were getting crazier. And I think he just kind of said yes to everything because he didn't want to give up the power.
Yeah, but then he started to enjoy the power.
No, I'm saying I'm not giving. I'm saying like yes, because everything that he led to the murder of what like 10 people. But like,
it was quite.
I think there was people far crazier than him within that. Like about Tex Watson, right?
Yeah.
Tex Watson was far crazier than Charlie, and he had all these when he was in the Manson family, like he ate like an unprecedented amount. I think it was like mushrooms or some kind of hallucinate, like some like Native American who was like making it in the Manson family kitchen, like doing some with mushrooms, and he like just ate a handful of them, and he like disappeared for 3 days, and they found him at like a kid's playground, walking around his hands and knees making car noises.
What the fuck?
And then after that, like a month later, like the murders happened. Like his brain fried into a murder brain.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry to bring this up.
No, you're good. I want to go back to the Gilgo Beach.
Gilgo Beach. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
You were making some really great points. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
I'm not going to name his name because it's not worth saying his name. Everybody can look up who he is. But with that said,
I'll say his name loud and proud. No,
I have to ask, man. Like as a representative for white people, Joe.
I'm not a representative for white people. I'm barely a representative for the human race.
I just need to understand why is it with these serial killers?
Actually, I might be able to answer this.
They are this particular archetype. He was a loving father, or he was a loving neighbor. He did so much for the community. He was a genius. He built this thing. He had a lot of money. Like, why is that a prerequisite for like white serial killers? First of all, black people, we don't have serial killers.
Yeah, you do.
We got a couple.
You have the DC sniper. A couple.
DC sniper. You know what? I'll give you
Look
DC.
up the Grim Sleeper.
I'll give you. Chris was quick.
We don't have serial 15 infamous black serial killers. Oh Jesus! Sam Little.
But yes, the details on our serial killers versus like the archetype of yours is a little different. That's what I was getting at.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if you ever saw the movie Blue Caprice, focusing on a DC sniper.
Yes.
Yeah, with Isaiah Washington.
My friend Keith has a joke about that where he goes, he was like, when he's like, that was a weird moment for the black community. It's like, we heard about it. He's like, that's not one of us. And he's like, he's driving a Caprice. It's like, fuck, that might be one of us.
That might be one of us. Yeah, that might. As soon as that's the catch, as soon as I knew it was Blue Caprice. But that's the thing. Like,
you don't have to look up more. Chris, it's fine. We get it.
I love it. I was just being an asshole.
No, but what was that's actually a fair question.
Yeah,
why is that the archetype?
Yeah.
Well, for some of them, it's not just family. It's usually a contributing member of society archetype, right?
Okay.
So usually, like, unless you're in a case of somebody, there's either because when you're a serial killer, you either have the mask or you're the weird guy.
Right.
Those are the things that I find in him. Dahmer, he was the weird guy, right? John Wayne Gacy wore the mask, right?
Right.
Ted Bundy wore the mask. But there's every once in a while and a guy like this clearly wore the mask and everything. I think it's because it's the perfect cover. Because it's like whatever drives them to murder is who they really are. You know what I mean?
Right,
and they have to disguise. They're predators. They're human beings. They're fucking predators. And in order to disguise themselves, they're like, it's Dexter.
Right.
It's the perfect cover, and they see that as they probably see that as like a means to, and it's just why they go. A lot of them, like Dennis Rader, was like that. The BTK killer.
Yeah, the BTK killer.
But then everybody
and
found
that's who the Trinity Killer was inspired off of on Dexter.
Dude, because he had been around for decades.
Yeah.
So like with someone like the BTK killer, you have like a tremendous amount of like time that went into him having this perfect cover with being, he was but he was also like a piece of shit. They were like, the interviews, it was like, at first they were like, hey, he was such a nice guy. He was head of the Boy Scouts. And then eventually they were like, that son of a bitch took my dog. Like, he was never a nice guy. Because when you start to peel back the layers on this, it's all very paper thin. And then you realize that even, especially towards the end, right before they get caught, everything starts slipping. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was another dude, I can't remember. Do you ever watch Mindhunter? Yeah. There was the David Fincher Mindhunter. Yeah, the David Fincher Mindhunter. Yeah. The TV show from Netflix. Yeah. Unjustly canceled. They have a fucking they have that big serial killer in there, real dude. I can't remember. He's he's like a 6'5" dude with glasses.
With the mustache,
With the mustache. What was his fucking look it up real quick. It's like he did like voiceover stuff, but that dude is a weird guy. But his cover was, David Berkowitz, Son of Sam. Ed Kemper.
Okay, Ed Kemper.
All right. We'll edit this better. Ed Kemper.
No worries.
So Ed Kemper was like one of those dudes that was the weird guy, but his whole thing was he wanted to be a cop. But you look at there, it's like, okay, the idea of power, it's all connected to control and power. So, I mean, I think the Gilgo Beach guy, here's my thing. Like I said, I think there's definitely more than one person out there. 100%.
Oh yeah, there's more than one.
Only because there's like 10 I think, how many bodies were they found at Gilgo Beach? I don't want to sound like a fucking idiot. I'm sorry.
It is
10 bodies.
Yeah, okay.
So then they gotta fucking link them to the rest of these.
Like I said, there might be some overlapping. He might have been out there while somebody else was murdered, dumping something.
Well, there's that story that like the Green River Killer, like Gary Ridgway, and somebody there's like weird, I don't know if it's theories, but there's weird like instances where they like crossed paths. Yeah. And it's like two ships crossing in the night with that. So all right, now we've done enough murder stuff. There's something I wanted to ask you about because you've had on the show and everything. There's one of what your profession right now is, you're a flight attendant, right?
Correct.
Chris, do you have that video?
I'm always in the skies. Always.
You have that video I said? Yeah.
So I fucking knew you were going to ask me about this. I just want you to
play this. Let's just play this.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not.
Oh my god!
You actually sent me this video originally.
Oh yeah.
Number one, and obviously we won't talk about.
We gotta get to the nitty gritty on that.
We don't need to talk about names of airports you work for and everything, but you work as a flight attendant. How have you ever experienced anything like this? This is crazy. I don't even know.
Okay, so
like you've been doing this for a little while, so you've seen
almost 5 years.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of shit. First off, I was so glad when I saw that video to realize that it was not my airline. That was great. I was like, oh, finally, we don't need to be in the news. But when I saw this video, I'm just like desensitized to like half the shit. So for me, this was like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, I'll tell you my analysis. What I thought happened when I saw the video, I was like, her body language, everything like that. I feel like she might have popped the Xanax before the flight. She had a couple drinks. And automatically in my head, I'm like,
sense.
I was like, this plane was at Dallas, Fort Worth. I was like, I feel like she's the type. Maybe we're heading to LA or we're heading to Denver because this type of shit happens on those flights. Some of those people are just naturally weird. And when you mix alcohol and everything else into it, boom. So that was my initial take.
I believe that because there's no because like she definitely looks like a woman that's like mommy's little helper. Like she has like one of those people that pops at least 2 Xanax a day. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
That was my take, but I'm like part of flight attendant pages too, and like some of them are private pages, and allegedly, again, I don't work for that airline.
Wait,
but
you
like,
know the ins and out. Like
allegedly, because that airline was like American or something or Southwest.
Spirit,
but no, it wasn't. It wasn't Spirit. It would have been a very different flight if it was Spirit. But allegedly, on some of those pages, some of the people claim to have worked with the workers that are on there, and allegedly, what was happening was she lost her iPod, her AirPod during boarding, and she thought like the person next to her had stolen it, so that became an issue.
I still think her Xanax thing holds water.
Oh yeah, but she could have been on Xanax while she did that.
Where's
and then,
my head?
And then the flight attendant went over to kind of break it up, and then she did not like the appearance of that flight attendant and said they weren't real, and it went into this whole rant, which then you saw the recording of her walking all the way. But what cracks me the fuck up,
dude, human beings will crumble over nothing sometimes.
It's true. They really, listen, man, I used to have high hopes for the human race, but
no,
I've seen so much shit, especially once pandemic was introduced and everything else with flying, and I just lost hope for humanity.
I'm a nihilist now, probably.
I understand why in those animes these motherfuckers are like, nah. Come to find out, we should just wipe out humanity.
Or the big restart, the hard restart.
But yeah,
I'm a nihilist. Whatever. We're all gonna die eventually.
That video, yeah, that video cracked me up. But that's what some people are claiming. But it's cracking me up to see, because I see shit like this all the time, and I'll go into a few stories in a moment.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what happens once it goes to social media. So like I see these TikToks and I read all the comments, and you have people sympathizing with her like, oh, maybe somebody was really back there, or the conspiracy theories. Oh, well, they're saying the flight attendant's eyes were blinking sideways. What the fuck does that mean, first off?
We get to lizard people so quickly in this world.
Yeah.
So it's always just like, well, maybe it's an air marshal acting strange. Maybe it's a terrorist.
Yeah.
Maybe they're actually lizard people. It's like, shut the fuck up. There are no lizard people.
One of my close friends, Domingo, and Joe went to school with him too. He knows. He's always quick to go to conspiracy theories. I had to already put a disclaimer. I'm like, don't send me this fucking video. He sent me a video the next day about that woman too. He's like, oh, they can't find where she's at. She just magically disappeared. I'm like, she didn't disappear. I know for a fact she got off the plane, cops spoke with her, and then she was allowed to get back on the red eye to head home that night. Like, I already know all these details and shit. Like, I'm like, she's not invisible.
It's also a viral video. It's not a news thing. It's not like this woman interviewed. Of course. Oh, she wasn't seen again. Who hasn't seen her that you're talking to? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Where is this? Oh, no one's seen her. Who's this people that you fucking haven't seen her?
There's so many conspiracy.
She went home.
There's so many conspiracy theories. Some people are defending her, and some people are like, I would have gotten off the plane. I love how everybody universally turned their heads to see what happened. First off, if this lady was telling you the truth and that person wasn't real, let's say that person wasn't real, and it was a hostile fucking ghost. You all took the time to turn your head to look at this thing, and they probably all going to be eviscerated. Yeah. But again, for me,
all of a sudden a white light comes from the
that video, the whole thing was laughable to me, but the funniest part was because some people are like, no, clearly she saw something. She's so spooked. Look in her eyes.
No,
I'm
she's
like,
high.
I'm like, she's high, man. She just saw some
You
shit.
know how many people get on a plane, and you know this better than anybody, and I know this too, get on a plane at all hours of whatever they're on. Not everybody, but a good chunk of them are either drinking a little beforehand or on some sort of muscle relaxer, Oxycontin, painkiller, something that's going to make the flight a little less chaotic for them. And usually it's too much of something. And the reason why these people act erratically is sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes they are fucked up. They're
just fucked up
because they can't handle flying, but it's all they can do. But they don't feel like driving to LA.
Exactly. So they just pop some pills. And some of them, I've worked flights where we've had particular incidents on the plane, and come to find out this person's taking a Xanax for the first time in their life because they're like deathly afraid of flying. So you thought you should take a controlled substance for the first time in your life on the plane, the thing that you hate the most.
You're gonna take something
How did that work
that's
out
designed to make someone like me make the voices in their head stop. Like that's what Xanax does. Like Xanax makes your brain calm down when it acts at a high level. If you're a regular person and you just don't want to be scared, dude, you're better off drinking a whole bottle of rum beforehand.
It's just,
at least you'll go to bed.
It's ridiculous. But I laughed at the video because halfway through in her dramatic speech where she's like, because that motherfucker's not real.
It's arguably a very good acting choice.
Very
really,
good.
The choked up I liked.
Quick story time. Joe already knows this about me. A movie that traumatized me as a kid was Final Destination 1.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up.
I mean, that movie changed my whole life. I saw the first one in theaters. My mom thought it would be a simple horror film.
No, there's nothing simple. It
had the infamous airplane scene, and the shit did, in fact,
the whole generation
blow
of kids up.
Fucked the whole generation up. It definitely had me questioning death a lot more. We
were also grew up in the era of teenagers will die.
That movie really fucks me up on so many levels. And we actually, my mom almost crashed the car on the way home.
Don't do this to me.
And yet I became a flight attendant. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. So that's always been like one of my fears. But her whole little speech, it was very reminiscent to Final Destination to me.
When they're trying to get Devin Sawa off the plane or whatever the fuck.
She's like, you could all stay here and die. It's like, okay.
But like, it's like, again, it's everybody. I think people give too much, like, you see a person like this and everybody's like, well, why are they acting crazy? I'm like, maybe they're crazy.
Yeah, maybe they're crazy. 100%. Maybe they're just crazy.
Maybe I'm not. Listen, I'm the first person to say I do not think the government is batting 1,000 all the time.
Right, 100. Yeah, they're not batting 1,000 all the time.
Absolutely not.
There's corruption. There's all these other things happening in the underbelly.
This is not one of those.
This is not one of them. So when I'm seeing people trying to rationalize this video and like argue with me half the time, they're like, and because it has happened. I've had some non-flight attendant friends who are like,
yeah, and you're like, I work.
Yeah, they're like, you wouldn't understand. I'm like, what do you mean I wouldn't understand? I deal with this on the regular. Yeah. I've had instances where motherfuckers are trying to open up a closet to escape the plane, and it's they don't realize it's a closet. Like it's a whole thing. Like
there's it also, it's like, it's weirdly reminiscent of when I was a bartender, when it just seems like a woman that I've had to ask to leave.
100%.
And that's why I'm going to lend even more credence to the fact that she's definitely fucked up and on at least 3 glasses of white wine.
Yeah, she was on something for sure. And again, I don't take stock in what I said, but some flight attendants were claiming it started with AirPods. I don't know what the reason is, but clearly she was drinking. Might have been a Xanax. There was something that triggered her on that flight to now go into that. So for me, that's a very feasible thing.
I agree. But like, I also think human beings are frail to an extent, especially white women, overly sensitive people. Like they are. And like there's a lot of people out there where one thing will ruin their whole day. Yeah. And they will act. And if they're on an illicit substance too, like there's people that can handle their shit and there's people that cannot. There's a lot of people that can't handle their shit out there.
And folks, it's just moderation. I can't stress this enough. Like, if you want to drink. If you want to do whatever. But remember, you're going to be on a fucking plane. Yeah. Don't get on this plane all fucked up and then have an issue later when you're either humiliated, gone viral, or we kick you off the plane. Like,
I like to take handfuls of mushrooms. You know, it's not a good idea to do that when you're in an enclosed space flying through the air like a Greek myth.
Yeah,
that's going to cause some bad reactions.
Yeah, man. Don't come on my flights with that. We diverted for real.
Have a drink, but like if you think that if you're not a drug addict already, and you're gonna go take I'll just take a Xanax. You've never taken a Xanax, then you're gonna go down a fucking perpetual pit into the 7th level of hell before you get kicked off the plane.
People are wild, man. I had a medical emergency like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
I'll never forget it. We were leaving. We went from San Antonio to San Francisco. And I'm in the front of the plane. I get a phone call from the other flight attendants. They're like, and I misheard them at first.
Okay.
I was like, what? I thought they were saying someone has to go to the bathroom. Like maybe they shot themselves or something like that. No, it wasn't. That's not what I had heard. Apparently they said the woman passed out while on the way to the bathroom. She collapsed. The woman collapsed on the flight attendant.
She passed out on the way to the bathroom? Jesus
on
Christ.
the flight attendant. Yeah. So, we had this whole medical emergency. We're trying to wake her up. There's other stuff happening. Luckily we had a nurse and a doctor on our flight. They're taking care of her. And all the while this is happening, human nature, folks, while I can't stand humans sometimes, I had this passenger continue to come up to me from economy. I'm all the way in first class, mind you. They kept coming up to me and they were like, oh, can I get a Diet Coke? I'm like, as you heard, we're like in the middle of a medical emergency. We're just working on that right now.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that they're working on that in the back. That's why I'm here for the Diet Coke. Ma'am, if you just don't sit down right now, like flat out, I was like, if you don't sit down right now, like get out of my face.
Throw you off this fucking plane.
Yeah, they managed to bring her back and we didn't have to divert because we only had like 45 minutes left to land to San Francisco.
Okay.
We get in there. They bring her back. We get the ambulance on board. And one of the things that happened, what we found out, she was taking a particular medication which was prescribed. I'm not going to get into what it was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But she chose to drink 3 glasses of wine on there. She's not supposed to drink on it. It dropped her blood pressure dangerously low to where she collapsed. And if the nurses and them didn't intervene and give her what they needed to give her, I mean, she could have
probably died. Essentially.
Yeah. So that happened.
Did that lady get her Diet Coke?
Actually, no.
I know you're busy right now, but can you just give me a Diet Coke?
That person did not get their Diet Coke, but on the flip side of that, when we landed, the paramedics have to come in and take this person off a stretcher, and we ask that everyone stay seated. People tried to walk through the paramedics in the stretcher.
People are
they legit walked through them, and then one of the paramedics guys got stuck on, and the other guy's now outside with the stretcher. He's like, I can't leave without my partner. I'm like, yep. Human nature. Yeah. I made an announcement. I'm like, the pilot just made an announcement to all of you to stay seated. Show some compassion.
You actually said that?
Yes. I actually said
that. Show some compassion. We're not animals.
What the hell's wrong with people?
All of a sudden you start going into some monologue like, people, please.
No.
Are we not men?
I'm not going into that, but I did say show some compassion. I wanted to say show some fucking compassion.
Yeah,
but
seriously.
Show some compassion. But shit like that happens all the time. That video that you saw, it's just
you heard it here, folks. Justin Trice, hero of the sky. When you see him, say thank you for your service and that you are my hero. No, if you see him, say what's up to him. He's an awesome dude. I just got some plugs I'm going to do real quick.
Yeah.
September 15th is my next Giggle Room show. That's Terry McNeely's Laugh in the Giggle Room. That's a great one. Billy Geyer is going to be on that. Travis Grant,
nice,
Hugh Murray,
nice.
Come on down. Billy Geyer. Terry McNeely headlining. Come on down and check him out. We've come to the end of our show, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a show, hell of a ride.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you took time out of your busy schedule. I know you're traveling a lot, and you have a girlfriend and a life, and I don't. So,
well, she travels a lot too, so it gives me free time. Yeah.
Well, either way, I appreciate you getting busy, and this is, I'm going to invite. I'm probably going to invite more of the. My regular friends on. Stop appeasing other people. I'm just going to do what I want.
break the cycle, man. Just do what you want, and.
But thanks for coming out, taking your time. It was a lot of fun. And I'll definitely have you on again.
I'd love to be back.
All right, dude.
Definitely. Take it easy, man.
All right, man. I usually push the mic out of the way. So instead, I'm just going to, good night, everybody. I'm just going to drop it. This is expensive. All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace.
The Millennial Stoner outro song. Yeah, pack a bowl and sing along. Blah, la, blah, la, blah, la, 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 la. Ba, ba, blue sheep, ba, 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 ba. This is the favorite podcast of the Dalai Lama.